With war raging in Ukraine, the world has watched as its major nuclear sites have been caught in the crosshairs of battle. Critical sensors at Chernobyl have gone silent after Russia's military shelled the site of Europe's biggest nuclear disaster and took it over, temporarily knocking out the power. Just one in a string of harrowing incidents in Russia's war in Ukraine, raising fears of nuclear catastrophe. Another nuclear plant, Zaporizhzhia, also coming under Russian attack, part of it catching fire.
The fact that there may be a running operation doesn't mean that things are fine.
This is the inside of what nuclear experts call the Ready Room. From this nerve center in Vienna, the United Nations International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, is closely watching all 15 of Ukraine's nuclear reactors. Tell us about what we're seeing on the screen here.
In the middle of the screen, you're seeing real-time radiological monitoring data being delivered to the IAEA directly from Ukraine, from Ukrainian sources. And in some cases, some of that monitoring data that we used to receive is no longer arriving.
So far, crisis averted. But the IAEA's Director General, Rafael Mariano Grossi, says next time the world might not be so lucky.
The scenario that is keeping me up is the possibility of an attack or an episode where wittingly or unwittingly there could be a direct impact to any of the facilities. When you are in an armed conflict, an active armed conflict, these things can happen anytime.
And at Chernobyl, Ukrainian officials warning exhausted workers stuck there for almost 3 weeks has stopped making some safety repairs. And they have Russians looking over their shoulder. Is that a problem?
That's a huge problem. If something kinetic happens, if fire breaks out, like it happened last Thursday night in Zaporizhzhia, well, then you are in uncharted waters.
Here in the Incident and Emergency Center, experts have been monitoring Ukraine's power plants 24/7 ever since the war started, taking in data from radiation sensors and speaking directly to officials on the ground. In a crisis, how soon can you get this up and running?
We can fill the room with all of our experts within 60 minutes.
How often are you in touch with your Ukrainian counterparts?
At least 3 times a day. They're working under extremely difficult conditions. They're very courageous people, and so we don't want to stress them.
The IAEA has been racing to reach a deal with Russia and Ukraine to allow in its own experts, the only ones qualified for the overwhelming task of keeping Ukraine's nuclear reactors safe and under watch in the middle of an unpredictable war. But Grossi says time is running out.
If there was a massive episode involving release of significant amounts of nuclear material, there could be radiation moving on into the European space. We have to prevent that from happening. We have the ability to do it. We have to do it now.
And Josh Lederman joins me now from Vienna. Josh, I think everybody's thinking about worst case scenario. How big of a strike would it take to cause a dangerous nuclear accident?
Well, the good news, Kate, according to Grossi, is that nuclear power plants are much safer now than they were in the 1980s when the Chernobyl accident took place. In fact, they're built to withstand a direct hit from an airplane. But a hit is not the only thing to be worried about here. Grossi says they're also concerned that fighting could damage power lines or pipelines that are needed to cool nuclear material. And if an incident was significant enough, it could lead to radiation leaks that could move beyond Ukraine and even spill across the border into other countries in Europe.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.